All right, before we dive in, just a quick heads up. What you're about to hear is a dramatized retelling. We're taking real astronomical events described in the Mahabharata and framing them as a modern mystery, kind of like a cosmic horror story. All for the sake of entertainment, of course.
It all starts with this one line, a quote from the ancient text that just sends a chill down your spine. It describes something impossible. A new moon, a lunar eclipse, and a solar eclipse all happening in a single month, and on the 13th day. Now, to the people who saw this, it wasn't just weird, it was a sign that the very fabric of the universe was tearing apart.
So, let's get into it. We're going to treat this whole thing like a 5,000-year-old cosmic cold case. A mystery where the only witnesses left are the stars themselves, and the only evidence we have is a celestial code hidden deep inside one of the world's oldest epics.
Our investigation begins with a prophecy in the stars. Because you see, long before the first warrior ever stepped onto the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the cosmos itself was already screaming a warning.
I mean, the Mahabharata is just packed with these absolutely terrifying descriptions of the sky. This wasn't just a bit of bad weather. The text describes a total celestial meltdown, a series of omens so frightening that everyone saw them as a direct prophecy of the carnage that was about to unfold.
What's so wild is just how specific these warnings are. The text names planets in specific parts of the sky, hanging near certain star constellations. Mars, the planet of war, appears to just stop and move backwards. A comet tears across the sky. And the two giants, Jupiter and Saturn, are described as blazing and just frozen in place for a whole year. It reads less like poetry and more like a cosmic crime scene report.
So that brings us to the actual investigation. How in the world do you turn these ancient, cryptic descriptions into hard data? Well, it's time to start cracking the cosmic code.
The secret is using modern astronomy like a time machine. We're not just looking for any old alignment. No, we're on the hunt for a unique astronomical signature, a celestial fingerprint left at the scene of the crime. We're looking for an event so incredibly rare that it could only have happened on one single date.
And that pulls us right back to our prime piece of evidence. This unnatural pair of eclipses. A lunar eclipse followed by a solar eclipse in less than the usual 14 or 15 days. For a lot of researchers, this isn't just a clue. It's the key that could unlock this entire 5,000-year-old case.
Okay, so the forensic work begins. Using modern software to literally rewind the skies, astronomers first gathered every possible lead. They found about 672 pairs of eclipses that happened on Earth during the right time period. I mean, that is a huge pool of potential suspects to sort through. But then, you start applying the conditions from the eyewitness testimony, the text. The eclipses had to be visible with the naked eye from the exact location of the battlefield, Kurukshetra. And the big one, the time between them had to be less than 14 days. And just like that, our 672 suspects are whittled down to just 18. The investigation is officially heating up.
Now here's another key clue mentioned in the text. Retrograde motion. It's what happens when a planet, like Mars, looks like it stops, moves backward in the sky for a bit, and then continues on. Today, we know it's just a predictable illusion caused by our orbits, but imagine seeing that back then. It would look profoundly unnatural, like a planet was defying the gods, a seriously bad omen.
So, now that we have our short list of 18 potential dates, we can finally bring in our prime suspect for a little cosmic interrogation.
Think of it like a police lineup. We've got our 18 potential dates lined up against the wall. The Mahabharata text is our eyewitness testimony. So now we go down the line and we cross-examine each one. Does its astronomical profile match the crazy, detailed description of the sky given in the text?
Okay, our first suspect, the year 3129 BCE. And at first glance, it looks really strong. That 13-day eclipse pair, it's a near-perfect match, visible right around sunset and sunrise, which would have been really obvious to ancient observers. It even puts Jupiter and Venus in the right spots. But, and this is a big but, the alibi falls apart. Saturn and Mars are in completely the wrong positions. The story doesn't hold up.
Next up in the interrogation room, 2559 BCE. Now this one is fascinating. It's got the 13-day eclipse pair, it's got Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars all doing that creepy backward motion. It even has this incredibly rare moment where Jupiter is hidden during the eclipse. But there's one fatal flaw. The text talks over and over about a period of drought. These eclipses, they happen in June and July, the absolute peak of monsoon season in that part of the world. The forensics just don't match the scene. So after hitting these dead ends, a few researchers started to ask a pretty radical question. What if we've been so focused on the most dramatic piece of evidence, that impossible eclipse pair, that we've missed the real clue? What if it's a red herring?
They came up with a whole different theory. They said the most critical, non-negotiable clue is actually the precise location of Saturn. It's the slowest moving of the visible planets, and the text says it was afflicting the star Rohini. For these investigators, this is the anchor. Any day that doesn't have Saturn right there is thrown out immediately.
And when you follow this new line of inquiry, well, it leads you to what some people believe is a much stronger case for one definitive date. By starting with Saturn at Rohini as the #1 clue, a new prime suspect emerges, the year 3067 BCE. And what's so powerful about this theory is that it doesn't just try to match one or two weird things in the sky. It tries to build a complete interlocking timeline that makes sense of the entire war narrative.
And just look at this. The timeline for 3067 BCE is incredibly precise. It lines up a lunar eclipse with Krishna's peace mission, a solar eclipse right before the war starts, and it even pinpoints the exact start and end dates of the 18-day conflict. And the amazing part is that it perfectly syncs up with other stories in the epic, like Balarama's pilgrimage. Suddenly, everything clicks into place.
So here we are, our two final suspects, side by side. On one hand, you've got 3129 BCE. Its star witness is that almost perfect 13-day eclipse pair. But its accomplices, the other planets, are out of place. Then you have 3067 BCE. It has the master plan, a perfect interlocking timeline anchored by Saturn. But its version of the famous eclipse is less direct. It's a classic detective's dilemma. Do you trust the dramatic eyewitness or the meticulous mastermind?
So, what's the verdict? What's the final answer? Well, in the end, this whole investigation reveals something way more profound than just a single date.
The real takeaway here isn't about closing the case on one particular year. It's the fact that we can even have this debate at all. It proves that the astronomical references in the Mahabharata aren't just vague, flowery poetry. They are detailed, specific, and accurate observations of real celestial events, a precise code written into the stars. And that leaves us with one final, kind of chilling thought. For thousands of years, we've read these texts as myth, as religion. But now we know they contain this hidden layer of data. It really makes you wonder, what other secrets, what other forgotten histories are hiding in plain sight, written in starlight, just waiting for us to finally crack the code?